What's up? Good morning. What is it? Afternoon now, actually, huh?
Yeah.
I'm Josh. This is T. We're BrainJerk. Chef Rodney's up there in the corner. You know him, right?
Hello.
Finally, we get to work together. I've been waiting forever.
Dude, right?
Who do we got here today?
Oh, this is Charlie Stratbean. Strap. How do you say your last name?
Strackbine.
Strackbean.
Fine.
Strackbine.
Bine.
Strackbine.
Charlie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, T and Josh and Rodney, I'd like to say thank you for welcoming to the show. And I'm Charlie Strackbine, and I founded the Ann Arbor Monroe Street Fair back in 2002. I founded it to bring people together in celebration, where at the time, the city and university were working to push hash bash vending and peddling out. They drew a perimeter around the diag and pushed the vending and peddling out so far to the perimeter that it wasn't what it was back before 2002. So immediately I created the Monroe Street Fair just on the edge of that perimeter that they had drawn. So that's why on Monroe Street Fair, one step off of the curb, you're on the city property where I created the Monroe Street Fair. And that alleviated a lot of troubles that the city had been getting complaints about. The merchants were complaining there were way too many people in the streets, flooding out, complicating things for the existing downtown merchants. The police were also concerned because of the flooding of the streets. It created some safety issues. So when we thought of the Ann Arbor Monroe Street Fair, it solved many of those issues, like the crowding on the streets. We closed the streets over at Ann Arbor Monroe Street Fair. So what I'm saying is we had a great solution for some of the problems that existed according to the city and the police and the community. So we solved that problem, and it's been great ever since. Again, talking about they were trying to push the hash bash and peddling and vending out, where what we did was they haven't had a problem with us for 20 years. They haven't tried to push out. You get at the Monroe Street Fair and the vending and peddling in 20 years, and I think that's something we can all take a little bit of pride in, because I'd like to say one more thing. The Monroe Street Fair is the audience in all of us. It's everybody that attends, from the home growers, the caregivers, the patients, all of us. And that's what makes the Monroe Street Fair, and I really like to put that in there. So thanks for asking. Sorry for the whole narrative right there, but I get rolling, obviously.
Because you love it. It's something you love, dude.
Thank you for seeing that. That's right on. Thank you.
Yep, like you said, you guys put on this Monroe Street Fair, and it's cleaned up like it never even happened.
Right. It's like this art installation I see. And then when we get there, we grow out of the ground. It's all these beautiful people, beautiful exhibits, all of the things that make the exhibit live. And we're there for the afternoon. And then when we leave in the evening, it's like we weren't even there, because we clean up every little cigarette butt, every little candy wrapper, everything at that site. So we're gone like we were never even there. And I think there's something really beautiful about that. And we've been doing that for 20 years, and thanks for asking about that.
So what's the reasoning? Why'd you start it?
To bring people together, and as I began to say, about bringing people together and solving some of those issues in the city where there was crowding in the streets. That was a concern for the merchants and the police. So we created that space just outside of the perimeter that the city pushed everybody out to, and we created that space again to gather and put the activist merchants and the activists. And at first it was an early vision to help others.
Hey, Charlie, turn your speakers down a little bit, dude. I think that when you're talking, your speakers are picking it up through your mic, and that's causing a little bit of reverb.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me see if I can adjust that.
There it is. Boom.
Did that help a little?
Yeah, it did. That helped a lot.
Yep,
You guys want to know what's funny? Fucking funny. Let's laugh about this, stoners. Look at my rolling tray.
Yeah.
It's on my keyboard on my MacBook Pro here.
Oh, no.
So that's something I got to look out for next time.
Yeah. He was too busy rolling up, bro.
Earlier, I was getting in, squeezing out a joint here real quick for earlier. earlier for later. So I love the Ann Arbor Mineral Street Fair. And what I want to say is it's not just me, it's many people behind the scenes. And it's just, again, if I started to explain all the people behind the scenes, it's not really the focus, I think, of the introduction of this film. And perhaps that'll be another film in the future, bringing in the other parts of the Monroe Street Fair and how it happens. So I wanted to also make that clear, that it's not just anything that I've done. So I want to talk more about Rodney and our fortunate situation to work with one of the, I think, one of the foremost avant-garde filmmakers in not only in our industry. He's well known in our industry, a little side trip, because of the contributions he makes in the culinary space. He'll explain more of that later. But again, so fortunate to work with Rodney, and I want to thank you and introduce Rodney Liner.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, guys. I mean, without any other further ado, you guys, you want to see what we're all here for?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it then. Here we go.
Ann Arbor, Michigan is a college town steeped in rebellion. Over the past 50 years, cannabis smokers have conducted protests, passed joint laws, and achieved what was once thought and regarded as impossible. This campaign continues to capture the attention of pot smokers around the globe with what some would consider radical and outlandish, while others would say, it'd be a lot cooler if you did. While many people know Ann Arbor for its yearly hash bash and occasional Wolverine sightings, it is also home to the Monroe Street Fair, a relatively unknown and yet well-known event. Over the past 20 years... Wait. 20... Did I read that right? Yeah? Yeah, no, I read that right. A fair at a weed festival in a country where weed is still regarded the same as heroin? Checks out. I want to know the mastermind behind this absolutely mind-melting yet monolithic movement that made for such a miracle in the telling of Michigan's Mary Jane history. While we make our way away from the Diag to Monroe Street, rolling up, dabbing, and even taking a bong tote to the head is widely encouraged. Or as the late, great Anthony Bourdain would say, proceed to smoke weed.
The 20th Annual Monroe Street Fair. When asked who came up with the idea for the Monroe Street Fair, I kept hearing one name: Charlie Strackbean.
Charlie came in with the Monroe Street Fair. It breathed a new energy and life force into Hash Bash, and it grew and became something nostalgic, and it's just the greatest event cannabis-wise in the United States.
Seems pretty cool. Let's check it out more.
I didn't even know the Monroe Street Fair existed until probably about 4 or 5 years ago when I first met Chuck. I would say the dedication he has shown doing this event for 20 plus years is very rare to see. What he does is very thankless, and people don't really see all the work that goes into putting together the Monroe Street Fair, getting all the permits, coordinating the cleanup.
Okay, so I made it to the fair. Who has a joint? This works. Well, that smoke cannon seemed to be effective. Time to make a new friends. Look, a puppy!
Know that the Monroe Street Fair has been going on for 20 years because Charlie is the man who's been running it. This was the first time that we participated in the Monroe Street Fair, and I have to say it was definitely a memorable experience. It was a lot of fun. I would recommend it to everybody. It was a lot of work, but we met amazing people, and Charlie does a great job running it and making everyone feel welcome.
Okay, so I have to find this Charlie fella. Seen him a few times, but I gotta get a fucking interview with him for sure. This art is just legit. Yeah, the vendors definitely made it feel like a true cannabis bazaar.
The Monroe Street Fair, this is actually my first time at the Monroe Street Fair. I've always hung out down at the Diag.
Sounds like you picked a good year to make your first. Oh, that reminds me. I forgot about the blue raspberry gummy I had earlier. I wonder when it'll kick in. I think I'm starting to feel something. Then my edible kicked in. Yes! Oh, this is dope. Get it? Because of the blue raspberry gum? So far, this seems all pretty warm and inviting. Okay, let's rewind and figure out why we're here again. You know what? Let's talk to someone who's been here for years.
But at Monroe Street, you can drift off into the neighborhoods. You can pull a blanket up and lay on the grass. You can really get to know your fellow stoners at Monroe Street. It's a much more relaxed atmosphere. And because it stretches from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., you can really spend hours just making new friends at Monroe Street.
Finally, I got to catch up with the mastermind himself.
It's been missing in my life for 3 years here since we've gone all of 2019, then all of 2020, then yet again all of 2021, and here we are. You can see just beautiful blue skies. I mean, I'm loving this. This is the greatest thing in a long time. Like, we've been gone, like I said, for 3 years, and the last time it was this nice was 2018. We've been very fortunate with the weather over the years. Looking back over 20 years, We've probably had equal bad to equal good.
Monroe Street Fair was created out of a need to give the people visiting Ann Arbor something to do. Hash Bash had become a good draw, but many people were flooding the streets with vendors and selling their wares on the streets, and it became irritating to the people in the city. Charlie and others had an idea that they would create a fair, which would give all those vendors a place where they could do their business and stay away from the areas that were causing trouble with the residents and with the city. It was tough getting the city to agree to that first ordinance or that first approval. But once they did, I think the Monroe Street Fair has been a part of Ann Arbor's history ever since, and that was 20 years ago.
I've worked with Charlie for years. Been doing the posters for the Monroe Street Fair and Hash Bash, and he's always Charlie. So I've never had any issues with him. He's always been friendly. He's always been up front. He's been a genuine person. He's come out to an art exhibition that I done in America just to meet me and hang out. He's a friend. So it's beyond more than just working with Charlie. It's Charlie's a friend. He's grown to be a friend, and he loves my artwork, and he's one of my favourite people to work with.
I've been hearing that a lot.
I do. So it's where I'll have an event, and I may do them for a series of years, where every year I look forward to doing something with Charlie. Like I know we're going to be talking.
Sedible's making it hard to focus. Damn, it's good.
It may not be for Monroe Street Fair, but just he's a friend. So regardless of what ever happens, he's someone who I'll become friends with through my artwork.
It's all starting to make sense now. The weed totally makes it better. What if somebody wanted to sit on that chair? If you get it, you get it. Thank you to all of the Monroe Street Fair staff who helped make this possible. Peace, y'all.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
I don't know if I wanted to sit on that chair or if I wanted to be that chair. I want to say some things about the Monroe Street Fair. I've been going pretty much religiously for the last 10 years, and I have never had a bad vibe there the entire time I went. There's everybody there is friendly, nice as fuck, dude. Everybody's happy.
And if you're worried about cops, don't worry about cops, because they're not there to do anything to ruin your fun.
Yep.
That's why I put cops in the video.
I was going to bring the cops up to it. A cop came up to us and was a fan of BrainJerk. And he said, and then so, of course, he comes up and he's a fan of BrainJerk, and he's at Hash Bash. So I'm like, why are you doing Hash Bash? And he says, dude, I only wanted to be a cop in Ann Arbor because I don't have to arrest somebody for smoking weed.
Yep.
I just wanted to be a cop, and I didn't want to fucking arrest somebody for smoking pot. And that made me, I was like, holy shit, dude, 10 years going here, and I finally realized why cops are going. And always the cops are fucking nice too. They're always happy go lucky because nobody's out here trying to fight nobody. Everybody's running around juggling shit, fucking putting shit on their face and balancing it. And everybody's just stoned, having a good time. And my favorite part personally is high noon. Everybody gets together and we just all smoke. That's when you meet all the friendliest people. They're all doing the same shit. Let's just get high real quick, and then we'll go about our day.
Well, where we usually sit every year is on the electrical over by the ooze tent. It's behind those guys that were all dressed in, what was it, green or beige?
Yeah, the beige.
The beige. We were over by there always.
Yeah, our crew sits. BrainJerk sits at the electrical boxes back there, and that's where our little our little smoke session goes down. That's where we all meet. That's where people know to meet us. Yeah, so I love the Monroe Street Fair. A little bit, Rodney, what was your inspiration behind doing this video?
I mean, when you take a look at what Hash Bash is and what the Monroe Street Fair brings to Hash Bash, you find yourself asking one question. Okay, I understand why, but how? You know what I mean? That's one of the questions that we don't really look look at, these days as people. There's this silent connotation, this silent language, this whole anthology behind cannabis and food. And I've noticed that it also surrounds this entire lifestyle of both, very similar to food. And so, I looked at, okay, cool, Hash Bash, it's been going on for 50 plus years. It's known worldwide for weed. You know what I mean? It's pretty hard to supplement, let alone it's going to need a little bit of help, So there's I wouldn't say like sidekick, because it's even better than sidekick. It's not Batman and Robin, it's Batman and Batman, the way I see it, and it's just like what Rick said in the narrative, which I thought was very important to point out. Hash Bash was a great draw, and Charlie, he saw this opportunity, like, I'm going to do something about this, y'all. And so then he created the Monroe Street Fair, and it's been, thumping ever since. I mean, yeah, it even got hit with COVID and all of those lockdowns, like he said in his interview. But I think that, being able to show it in a scope such as this, I honestly... I think that the world just needs to know that it survived the blast. You know what I mean? It survived the carnage that was COVID. And honestly, like, I may not have went to a lot of Monroe Street Fairs and Hash Bashes, because back then when you're 16, you don't care. You don't know what's what. But it's important to know what's what. I didn't realize that until later on. And that's just something that, each one teach one, I kind of wanted to pass on. But it's one of those things like, you can't just go, hey, and then because, you just had to be there. Well, I'm going to put you there. And that was the idea.
So going to the Monroe Street Fair, knowing you're going to...
Hang on, Charlie's muted.
Oh.
Yeah, but he had something to say.
Oh, I'm sorry, fellas. I wanted to say what a beautiful portrayal of the Ann Arbor Monroe Street Fair, Rodney.
Thank you.
An overall theme to me is it's brought us together, you and I, within, like I said, who's the Monroe Street Fair? It's the people behind the scenes, and it's brought Josh and T and I together. And that's always been the intention, is to bring people together to do creative, constructive things. And I'm just honored to be a part of it with everyone here. And like I said, the people behind the scenes, and thank you.
Dude, you got to look at it this way, though, and I gotta make sure you get your diligence here, your due diligence. None of us would be on this screen right now if it weren't for you. That background that you see on this show, Trog wouldn't have had that art. Like, none of that would have happened. I need you to realize that.
That's truth,
dude.
You know what I'm saying? That's iconic. That's OG shit right there.
I talked to you for the first time today, but I've been celebrating your Monroe Street Fair for 10 fucking years.
Right.
Like, I've been in love with you for 10 years, bro. I just met you, So, and that's, and it's honestly, it's not even if I'm going or not anymore. It's when are we, it's coming up.
When are we meeting up?
Where are we gonna meet up? When the fuck you guys gonna get there? And after we get super stoned, where are we eating lunch?
Yep.
That's what it is. That's all and for real, it's a fucking...
Listen, I would be remiss to say, sorry, right? We absolutely should use this to be able to get reservations at Dominic's. That's all I'm saying. Heads down.
And then, like people ask us, why do you still go there? Well, it's you can just smoke and walk down the street. Hey, because it's fucking something I do.
Now it's tradition.
I'm here. This is where I go. I'll be
Some
here.
would go as far as to say it rings in cannabis freedom.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
well, even for COVID, we were still there. Even
Yeah.
though it was shut down, we were still there.
I'm just standing 6 feet away from you, smoking my own joint, motherfucker.
One hand at your lips and the other hand holding your hand out, stiff arming people. I feel it.
And it's one of the nicest places because even in COVID, everybody was respecting everybody and staying away from each other. We just didn't pass joints. That's it. And so, Charlie, what was that ever when COVID happened? Was that ever a thing like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to shut the Monroe Street Fair down?
That was an immediate response. The Friday before the Wednesday that the governor shut everything down, I was on the phone with Rick, with Nick Zattel of the Hash Bash. He was the organizer there, and we had become really concerned because across the globe, big events were shutting down, and even that Friday night, South by Southwest is shut down. So I had a big weight on my shoulders, I think bigger than Nick, because I had some people commercially relying on the decision, such as buying some airplane tickets and things like that. So when I called the city Monday morning, they said, we're not canceling anything at this point. So I got a call from a client in California, and they said, we buy our airplane tickets? And I bring this up because I had to decide right on the spot, like, am I going to say, I don't know, or are we canceling this fair? Right. So I said, don't get your airplane tickets. And I proceeded that day and the next day to tell all of the clients, and I made our Monroe Street Fair press release and released it about 11 before I went to bed. And at the same time on the news, the governor was announcing, the shutdown. So anyway, I felt like I did the right decision. And again, just to finish that, I think we've responsibly as a group come back out of COVID by removing the stage from the event at this time and placing the entertainment along the streets and in the intersections, and not having any food trucks. And you saw, like you mentioned, there's a lot of open flow and ability to space yourselves out. And I think it was the best fair ever myself. I wanted to say there's other people that I connect through right from the fairs, Rick Thompson and Penny Milky. These are some people that were featured in the fair, and I want to mention again for the Monroe Street Fair, that's been my way to best connect with friends and get together and do some really cool things.
I just want to get high with my buddies.
That's all part of it.
So how did Deliciously Dope and Charlie get into association with each other?
I asked. It was that simple. I was just like, hey man, listen, like, okay, so I come from a background of professionalism and very type of hierarchy of people. Like you pay your respect to your elders type of thing and stuff like that. And then I heard about the Monroe Street Fair and I learned who Charlie was. I actually had him on the Daily Chronicles, which we got to get you back on, and I got to really kind of know Charlie and how he did stuff. And then there was, some other stuff that Charlie was involved in, that I was kind of paying attention to. And I'm like, yo, people don't see this shit. You see what I'm saying? And so I got this wild hair up my ass, to do basically I've had a lot of pressure over the last couple of years to kind of push Deliciously Dope and get it started and things of that nature. And I mean, yeah, it's cool, but COVID kind of played, into that. I wasn't really ready enough. And this is just like a debut into film. Like I've never went to film school. This is literally stuff that I've just learned off the internet and just like trial and error stuff. You know what I mean? A lot of just filming everything and trying to make it edit good and trying. And I figured, if I'm going to go along this process, let's let it be known that I'm not some, Hollywood, movie director or anything. That's not what it is. It's me learning film so that I can take that way of storytelling and let people know about it. And so then, okay, so you've got Hash Bash and you've got Monroe Street Fair. Well, what do you got? Where'd that come to be? And that's, again, how it pointed back to Charlie. And so I just went up to him and I'm like, listen, man, let me film this. I don't know how I'm going to explain this to you, and it's not going to make any fucking sense, but let me do it. And he's just like, all right. And it's interesting because Charlie then would go on to say that, and he doesn't really let people in like that. He doesn't really let people, and it's hard to, kind of throw yourself upon somebody. But I mean, dude, honestly, to tell you the truth, like, it's exactly what needed to happen. And I felt that, real talk, if COVID hadn't happened, none of this would have happened. That's how I feel.
Hey,
I mean, we wouldn't be here.
The worst he could say is no.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then that's the thing, is that's what you got to do when you're going to ask questions. Like, we've gotten some crazy guests. We've talked to some crazy people just by fucking, hey man, you want to talk to us? And they're like, sure. I ain't got nothing else to do, And I just and then that whole thing was filmed off of your phone.
Yeah, so that's the whole point. I have an iPhone 12 Pro. Okay, as actually all of you except for T-Rup, I didn't get to catch you in my. I was filming, man. So I had a few friends with me, but we all have the same phone. You see what I'm saying? So it was this. It's sorry. My girlfriend has an iPhone 10. My bad, but it was all on iPhone. So we just broke it down to, we all shot in the same standard, the same frames per second and stuff like that. And I set the exposure rate on some of those. I directed the whole thing. And then I'm like, this is what I need you to do. And literally narrated and had the, do the shots and stuff. Well, that's great. And like, I could sit here and show it to you and you'd be like, oh, it's cool. That's a phone. Neat. But that has nothing to do with editing. It's you got to shoot good content to edit good content. And I learned that. There's a lot of really cool shots that we got on the phone that I'm like, this is gnarly as shit. People are going to love this. That just didn't work out, and that's the unfortunate part. There was a laughing and there was crying, and it was a very cathartic experience. And I've only found that passion in two other things in my life, and that's writing and food. And so I was like, fuck it, here we go. And that is the concept of Deliciously Dope right there. So it only made sense, but very, very guerrilla style, very in the trenches, because as Charlie said earlier, they took the stage down. Well, if you had the stage, that would, kind of upset the vibe. You'd have to shoot it at a different focal point, like a wider lens and stuff. But if you shoot with a wide lens, you can't get a scope on things. You can't zoom in on specific parts, and that was the point. So I thought, why worry about expensive equipment? Why spend $20,000 on stuff that I may or may not know how to use yet, when I do know how to use this? And then someone told me the best advice that I could have ever gotten in my life right before I asked Charlie. They said, you can't do it. It can't be done. So then I did it.
Yeah, and
I saw the potential in Rodney as he approached me, and I became excited to work with him. He had shown me a preview that he had done maybe a month earlier, and I was excited that he approached me about that. Continuing to get to know Rodney has been a pleasure, but his vision, I think, with the film has totally come across. And again, I want to say it's been a pleasure to work with Rodney, and thank you for everything you've done for the Monroe Street Fair and myself. And thank you.
We're going to have to keep, filming this, keep going. Every year you got a new Monroe Street Fair. I believe that kind of incorporating, that kind of partnership is going to help put I wouldn't even say a beacon of hope or like a spotlight, but it's going to help emphasize what is Monroe Street Fair, which also emphasizes the importance of, and let's not take it away from John Sinclair here, but John Sinclair and Hash Bash and what that means to cannabis freedom. So, T, going back to what you said about being able to walk down the street and smoke a joint and just have a good time, and just chill, that is cannabis freedom. None of that would be possible without, the origin and roots of Hash Bash. But at the same time, Hash Bash couldn't keep fighting that standing army, which is that stigma. And so that's when the need for Monroe Street Fair happened. And that, honestly, is like a shield to everything, man. And it's just such a warm and inviting and welcoming place. I mean, how could you not? You know what I mean?
It definitely makes it more professional, we'll call it, because it's just it's no longer just a bunch of stoners getting together. Look, this is business.
And we're stoners.
Yeah. And there's puppies.
We put our best foot forward for sure. And like I mentioned, we grow out of the ground, however you want to look at it. We all show up in our artistic way, our ways we want to express ourselves, either whatever, very artistic, everybody from style to vocal to the art. like Rodney mentioned, there's a consistency in our art. You know, you see that relationship and friendship developing over time. Many of our vendors come back year after year. Again, it's all relationship based. And again, thank you, Rodney. It's been a pleasure getting to know you as we move forward. And I would look forward to developing creative films like this going forward. Another thing Rodney told me is I'll see many Easter eggs in there. And the more I see that film, the more I things relative to myself. And I could probably spend a whole show pointing out the Easter eggs. And thank you. What a pleasure to see them just about every time I watch the show. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Easter eggs are the best.
Like, and Charlie, I want to thank you for putting this on and doing this every year. You're doing it. It's awesome. But then, like a lot of people say, it's legal now. Why do you still go to Hash Bash? Because if it wasn't for Hash Bash, it wouldn't have got some recognition. It wouldn't have we got to still support the motherfucking thing because this is what made it, you know?
Right.
And now we got to go back. Now we got to go back and we got to get high again at the same spot. So that's what we got to do.
Well, yeah, because if we're being honest, when the Monroe Street Fair wasn't there, it wasn't the same.
No. I mean, it's nothing that we can speak about. I mean, we're too young a little bit, but I can only imagine.
No, I mean, even just during COVID, you know.
That's true. Yeah.
The 2 years, the years of COVID.
Yep.
When it was just people showing up to smoke weed and show the freedom, it wasn't the same thing as it has been in the past years, or like it was this year.
Yeah, this year was great.
It needs.
This year was crazy.
It needs everything. It needs everybody working together, coming together, like Charlie said.
Dude, friendship is the most beautiful thing that we have. As you can reach out to so many people. You make a little close knit community of people that have the same goals or anything, you know. And Charlie's shining a spotlight on that the whole time. He says it's not just me, everybody behind the scenes, dude. Everybody brings their art, they get this shit going, they get it clean the fuck up, and we go home. It's down to a science now. You guys got it fucking pretty much running by itself almost.
True that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that was going through my mind when I got there to film wasn't, oh, how am I going to do it and this and that and the other. So there was a lot of like script. There really isn't a script. You can't, you know, I don't want to script something. I feel scripting something censors something. I don't like that, you know. And so that's what I went in with, like the guerrilla, you know, cameras. I was like, let's just, you know, that's how we're going to do it.
Well, because you want to show it from a personal point of view. That's POV, baby. That is, you're walking through the crowd, dude.
People pay for that shit.
When they fucking we're going around with that fucking leaf blower that had smoke coming out of it. I seen somebody put his face in it, and when he got out of it, he looked like he was not. His soul wasn't on this earth. He said,
"He's gone."
He should have done that because it was smoke was coming out of his ears at that point. Dude. It was awesome, and it got me high, dude. I was sitting there. That was the first hit I got. Was a dude driving by with a thing just smoke. What the fuck is that, dude?
I have something else to say. It's been great again working with Rodney and Trog and some of these people in the industry that I highly respect, like John Sinclair and Tommy Chong through the years, and Jack Harrer back in 2004 and 2009, and just again connecting with all of these people that have become friends at different times in my life. And I can continue to say thank you for you know, just needing to recognize all of these people that have been inspirational and a joy to work with. So again, from some of the smallest mom and pop shops and owners in the state, from the Upper Peninsula to some of the operators that exist in multiple cities across the state. And these are some of the best brands in the state, and I'm very proud to work with all of them. So, yeah.
Well, going off of that, I wear this bracelet right here. It says, "Leave your legacy and make history now." Charlie, you have done it. You are doing it.
Yep. I don't think Hash Bash is ever going to stop.
The Monroe Street Fair is never going to stop.
It's never going to stop.
Well,
you know, that's why what we're doing right now is necessary. We're paving the way for either people that we know or something of that nature to eventually grab the reins. And that's the point. You understand? Like, I make a great example of, let's imagine driving from Michigan to Florida. Okay, you know what that means. It's 24 hours of driving. You're going to tell me that you're going to drive that whole way. I don't think so. You're going to need to either stop and someone's going to need to take over. That's the idea. That's the idea behind each one, teach one. We need to do these things and use storytelling as a narrative in this digital age. You know what I'm saying? And move and continue on what they started, you know? So that's the point. You know, Josh, sorry. That's the point. When Charlie does this and creates, you know, the Monroe Street Fair because of Hash Bash, we're just doing what Charlie did to continue what they did. That's all it is, baby.
Bring a little bit more of a spotlight to it because
that's it.
I love that. I love Hash Bash. I love the Monroe Street Fair.
When I mentioned an art exhibit that grows out of the ground, this is part of it right here. Rodney's part of it. I recognize that in him. And in Trog, the same way. Did I try and contribute anything more to directing the story? I let you have the total freedom. I think I even said in the message that I support it's we support the arts, and we have and we will in the future. Same thing with Trog. You know, maybe the most I imagined was, let's do a circus theme, and we ran that for 4 or 5 years. Let's do a space theme, and the things Trog has created are just far out every year. And I appreciate that again too, just friendships and
beautiful art.
That part of it to me is the relationships with all of the people I've gotten to know over the years, all contributors,
and it puts the world on the map. For example, for those of you who don't know or couldn't tell, Trog's from Australia, you know, and he's done artwork all over the world. You know, I had him on the Daily Chronicles as well. Great interview with him. And that puts the Monroe Street Fair, just the Monroe Street Fair in Australia. You know, he's done it for Hash Bash too, but that's my point. So then you've got anywhere from, you know, Australia to Michigan and in between. You know, so Ann Arbor, Michigan, maybe, you know, they're colorblind in who they play football with, but we won't talk about that. No, what he meant to say, y'all, was green and white, but that's fine. It's fine. He's okay. No, I was kidding. But the point is, no Ohio State, right, though? No Ohio State. Okay. All right, cool. We agree on that. But the point is like, Ann Arbor's on the map, okay? Because 25 years ago, before it was even legal in Michigan, people were still doing Hash Bash and fighting for that. So to, you know, pay homage to those people, Charlie invented the NSF, you know what I'm saying, the Monroe Street Fair, you know, to kind of help with everything and continue it. And it is a fair. The problem is, and here's the problem, people of my generation, and I'm guessing younger, I'm not assuming for everyone, but they get confused between the two. They're like, what are you talking about? Isn't it the same thing? It's not, and here's why. But at the same time, they are the same thing. You see what I'm saying? I just feel like, you know, in the day and age where we break everything down to like these subsequential little like sub-paragraphs and shit, might as well do it with this, because it, honestly, the complexity makes it more interesting.
There's a protest and a celebration. And really the Monroe Street Fair, besides designed to solve those other issues, was designed as a contributing celebration to the Ann Arbor Hash Bash, a reflection of that in celebration, where we all come together and celebrate. There were a lot of successes through the years, a lot of struggles, but that's again where the Monroe Street Fair was. A lot of activists, vendors, those booths were filled, like I'm saying, with activists, vendors, all the ingredients that make a great fair. But it's evolved over the years. We've started to discuss over that. There were the early years up till about 2009. In 2009, medical came into the equation, and it changed the fair in large ways. And then now with the regulated market, we've entered another era, a third era in the fair and in the Hash Bash. And I think Rodney will have more to say about those eras in the future. At least I look forward to, hopefully we can work on things like that, Rodney. And
absolutely. I just have to get high and think about it.
That's the funnest part of it, right?
Yep, the brainstorming's the best part. You could have 3 years worth of ideas in an hour.
No, just smoke a couple joints.
Listen, take a chance. That's the whole point. That's the reason I'm fucking sharing this with y'all. Listen, I know food, great. I know weed, great. Who doesn't? All right. I don't know film. I love film. I love good movies. I love, the terrible B-rated films where you're like, clearly that's a green screen, but it adds to the cinematic value. There is a difference between videography and cinematography, and I'll explain it thusly. Cinematography tells a story. Videography, for the most part, is just selling something or it's real quick TikTok-y. And that's great. But I feel that so many people, and here's an Easter egg I'll give you for free about the film. So many people don't want to pay attention to something over 10, 15 minutes. It just, no. So a documentary, 45 minutes, it's got to be really good, and production value's got to be great, and it's got to be thrown in front of everyone. Now, that's hard to do with streaming services and stuff this way. So I was like, well, how can I solve that? Well, why don't I take a 45-minute film and scrunch it down to 15 minutes? And there's your first Easter egg.
There's another Easter egg I want to call out. He's been commenting Night Train.
Yeah,
him on your video.
Yep,
I did.
That's one of our dudes, man. The Night Train is one of our brothers.
I had Ryan in one of the edits when he was walking by, but it just didn't work. Not with because what I was trying to do is I was doing an overlay, and I was trying to pull out some green patterns and stuff so I can play stuff in it. And with that shirt that he was working, it was just too much static and noise, so I had to use the clip just after he walked by. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
I wanted to, but I should definitely show you the disco ball that happened though.
Yeah, I'm fucking starving. About to go eat some lunch.
I wish we lived closer, get some Chef Rodney food.
Right.
We'll do it sometime. We'll do it sometime. But yeah, no, it's been a pleasure, guys. I appreciate it. I picked up some new equipment here. We're gonna go make some more series. Yeah,
that's exciting.
This is a start.
Hey,
thank you, Charlie.
Thank
you, Josh.
Talking to you, brother.
Thank you.
Yep, I want to say thank you to Charlie, thank you to Rodney, and I can't wait to work with both of you guys in the future.
Oh, please.
Let's do it, guys. Let's do it. All right, y'all. We'll talk to you. Peace.
Love you
Have a
guys.
good one.
Fellas, take
Later.
care. Good day.